Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the third podcast of the series, The Choice is Ours. In the first two podcasts, we've talked about certain theological questions that every Muslim, every human should be asking. In this discussion, we were going to talk about what does every Muslim want in their life and in the hereafter. So think about this concept. What is the goal of life? Because once we understand the goal of life, that's when we can understand what do we need to do. So is it to accumulate wealth, enjoy life and pass away, or is it to make others miserable or happy? For believers in the hereafter, the ultimate goal is to enter heaven. This is the focus of our discussion, as those who desire hell, they cannot be helped. So think about that. If our goal is to make money or to enjoy the life, ultimate decision or destination after this life is death. And when I say ultimate, I don't mean the final destination, but this life ends in death. Grave is the ultimate endpoint. But then the afterlife starts. And there are three different options in the afterlife. One is heaven, the second is hell. And those who believe or do not believe in judgment, we need to have further discussion. So people who do not believe in the judgment, they need to have discussion on their overall moral understanding of what is right and what is wrong. But let's not talk about that bottom part, those people who do not believe in judgment. The people who do believe in judgment, there are two options. One is either they can go to heaven or they can go to hell. Majority of the people, I would say 99% of people want to go into heaven. If there is a minority who wants to go into hell, I hope no one wants to go into hell. But those who really do want to go into hell, no one can help them. It is what it is. But for people who want to go into heaven, that is the majority of humanity, majority of the Muslims. The key question is, what is the criteria? And Allah has outlined the criteria for success in the Quran in various places, such as Surah Waqiah, Surah Al Mominoon, Surah Yasin, Surah Mulk, and other places. Quran itself is a nasiha as well as warning. However, the key concept is that life is a test and that good deeds must outweigh bad deeds. But it is really important to understand what is meant by the concept of test. So the simple test is that you just have to have good deeds greater than bad deeds. But the complexity is that enough? Is that the only test? How do you judge good deeds versus bad? And it is a common misconception that performing prayers and prostrations are the only indications of good deeds. If that were the case, Satan would have been the most successful of all. However, Allah's test is not always obvious. In case of Satan, it was not about just prostrating before Allah. Satan failed because he could not pass the test that Allah had ordained. That was to prostrate before Adam. One may wonder why Allah tested Satan and creation despite their worship. What was the purpose? Additionally, if Allah tested them before, why wouldn't He test them now? The test for Satan as well as for all the creation was to submit to the will of Allah. Nothing else. And that's the definition of good deeds versus bad deeds. Good deeds are those who are submitting to the will of Allah. So if that is the case, then is there a human test that is aligned with Satan even when he's not punishing? So think about this concept when in the case of Satan, Allah punished Satan right away. But when Allah is not punishing, is He still testing the humans? Is He still testing the Muslims? So let's talk about this example, the story of a teacher and two students. And basically the story is, or the concept is, that student 1 follows the syllabus and passes the exam and the past exams provided by the professor, while student 2 reads broadly but does not follow the recommended books, fails to prepare for the exam, and ignores the successful students from the previous years. The professor gave all the necessary instructions at the beginning of the term, sharing previous exams, course material, and examples from successful students. The professor does not visit daily and will judge all the students after 4 years. This professor does not execute punishment or reprimand them directly coming across right away. Student 1 is the one who follows the instructions as laid out by the professor and the past exams and the examples from those. A student who convinces himself that he is doing the right thing and tries to influence others to not follow student 1. And our aim with this discussion is to highlight the student 1 who's following the teachings, the examples and the past exams is the one who becomes successful when a student goes in front of the professor asking, giving the final exam or taking the report, whereas student 2 has difficulties because he has not learned from the previous exams that the professor had gave. So our aim with this series is to highlight the path of success followed by student 1 and the mistakes made by student 2 in the context of Allah's message. Ultimately, why would anyone not desire to enter Jannah? Moreover, why should anyone face an incorrect fate after working so hard because of student 2? To make the choice of student 1, one must either be blessed or have an understanding of the tests that Allah has set for us. Luck is not always in our favor, so it is imperative to understand the test's context and make a conscious decision. Our ultimate goal should be to enter Jannah and avoid facing the wrong fate. Thank you very much. We're going to continue this discussion. Assalamu alaikum.